January 29th, 2026. Evening. Kennedy Center, Washington, D.C. Red carpet premiere of Melania documentary. Donald Trump stood before cameras. Reporters shouted questions. Standard event, standard photo opportunity. Then one reporter asked a question that changed everything. Mr. President, what do you think about UK getting into business with China? Keir Starmer was in Beijing. Trump's face hardened. Response immediate, unscripted, brutal. Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that. Pause. Then twist of knife. And it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. 7,000 miles away, Keir Starmer was celebrating. Just concluded 3-hour meeting with Xi Jinping, first British Prime Minister to visit China in 8 years. Historic moment. Major diplomatic breakthrough. Deals signed, agreements reached, economic ties strengthened. Starmer told UK-China Business Forum his meetings provided just the level of engagement that we hoped for. Then Trump's warning landed, exploded across news wires. Very dangerous. Britain suddenly caught between world's two superpowers. America demanding loyalty. China offering opportunity. Starmer forced to choose, and Trump just made choice much harder. Story began weeks earlier. Different continent, different crisis. Donald Trump's second presidency transforming global order. January 2025, inauguration followed by policy earthquake. Liberation Day tariffs, threats against allies, demands for territorial control. Greenland, Panama Canal, Canada potentially becoming 51st state. Venezuela's Maduro captured. Iran threatened. NATO allies warned. Traditional American leadership replaced by transactional unpredictability. Allies rattled, partners nervous, everyone recalculating. European leaders watched with alarm. Decades of Atlantic alliance suddenly uncertain. Trump's America. First agenda meant everyone else second. Question facing every Western leader. How navigate relationship with increasingly unreliable America? Answer many found. Hedge bets. Diversify partners. Look east. January 2026 became month of pilgrimage to Beijing. Western leaders queued to meet Xi Jinping. French President Emmanuel Macron visited December 2025. State visit, grand reception. Then Finnish Prime Minister Petteri Orpo in January. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung followed. Irish Taoiseach Michal Martin made first visit by Irish leader in 14 years. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney went mid-January. Signed trade agreements, announced cooperation deals. Trump's response? Threatened 100% tariffs on Canadian goods. If they make deal with China, Trump warned, Canada faces massive consequences. Carney dismissed threat as negotiating tactic, continued engaging Beijing anyway. Now, Keir Starmer's turn, Britain's Prime Minister. Labour leader who promised economic growth, struggling to deliver. World's second largest economy. 18.74 trillion pounds GDP. Britain's fourth largest trading partner. Massive market for British goods and services. Relationships strained for years. Conservative governments took harder line. Hong Kong crackdown, Uyghur human rights concerns, Huawei 5G ban. Diplomatic chill, Starmer decided reset necessary. Economic pragmatism over ideological purity. Britain needed growth, China offered growth. Simple equation. January 27th, 2026. Starmer departed London, brought delegation of nearly 60 British business executives. Message clear. This about economics, about opportunity, about British prosperity. Before departure, told Bloomberg, Britain won't have to choose between US and China. Confident statement proved spectacularly wrong within 48 hours. January 29th, Beijing, Great Hall of the People. Keir Starmer met Xi Jinping, 80-minute meeting, longest session Xi granted any Western leader in months. Discussions covered everything: trade, investment, climate change, organized crime, illegal immigration, even football and Shakespeare. She praised Labour government's historic record with China, took shots at previous conservative administration, mentioned twists and turns in relationship under Tories. In current turbulent and ever-changing international situation, she told Starmer via state broadcaster, CCTV, China and United Kingdom need to strengthen dialogue and cooperation to maintain world peace and stability. Warning followed: if major powers failed, upholding international law, world risks sliding into jungle. Starmer responded diplomatically, called for more sophisticated relationship, emphasized cooperation on climate change and global stability. This is precisely what we should be doing, Starmer said. Then came concrete outcomes, deals that made trip worthwhile. First, visa-free travel agreement. British citizens could visit China without visa for trips under 30 days. Reciprocal arrangement, massive boost for tourism and business. Second, whiskey tariff reduction. China cut tariffs on UK whiskey imports from 10% to 5%. Government estimated £250 million benefit for Scottish firms over 5 years. Third, AstraZeneca investment. Pharmaceutical giant announced £10.9 billion investment, building new manufacturing facilities in China. Enormous commitment, major vote of confidence. Fourth, cooperation agreements, organized crime, illegal immigration. Specifically, Starmer asked Xi's help, disrupting supply of China-made boat engines used smuggling people across English Channel. Starmer addressed UK-China Business Forum in Beijing. Declared meetings very warm and productive. We warmly engaged and made some real progress, actually, because UK has got huge amount to offer. Emphasized deals is really important access, symbolic of what we're doing with relationship. That is way we build mutual trust and respect that is so important. Back home, Chris Torrens, chair of British Chamber of Commerce in China, praised visit as successful. Told BBC it made sense for UK to be looking to China. It's one of its larger trading partners. Everything seemed positive. Historic breakthrough, economic opportunity, diplomatic success. Then Trump spoke. Kennedy Center, red carpet, cameras rolling. Trump asked about Britain's China engagement. Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that. No elaboration, no explanation, just warning. Stark, simple, threatening. Turned immediately to Canada. It's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada is not doing well. They're doing very poorly. And you can't look at China as the answer. Added strange detail about ice hockey. First thing they're going to do is say you're not allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Comments bizarre, but message unmistakable. America's closest allies engaging China would face consequences. Downing Street scrambled response. Pointed out Washington knew about trip in advance. Noted Trump himself visiting China in April. Suggested no real conflict, but damage done. Trump publicly rebuked British Prime Minister on world stage. During diplomatic mission, maximum embarrassment. American diplomats have been raising concerns privately for weeks. Viewed Britain as having China problem. Worried about London's willingness to engage Beijing despite security risks. Trump's public warning made private concerns official policy. Britain now faced impossible position. United States remained Britain's largest trading partner. £28.75 trillion economy. Critical security ally. Intelligence sharing, NATO cooperation, nuclear deterrent dependent on American technology. But China offered growth, £18.74 trillion economy growing faster than America's, massive market for British exports, investment opportunities, trade deals. America demanded exclusive loyalty. China offered economic partnership without political strings. Starmer bet he could manage both. Navigate between superpowers. Maintain special relationship with America while pursuing economic ties with China. Trump's warning shattered that illusion. Gabriel Wildow, managing director at political consultancy Tioneo, explained Britain's dilemma. Starmer is wary of alienating Washington. But UK's squeezed position between two superpowers is structural, not quirk of Trump administration. Pattern affecting every middle power, Canada, France, Germany, South Korea, Ireland, Finland. All trying to balance American security relationship against Chinese economic opportunity. Trump's unpredictability made balancing act nearly impossible. Traditional alliance structures crumbling, transactional relationships replacing treaty obligations, January 30. Starmer continued China visit, traveled to Shanghai, Britain's financial center meeting China's financial center, more business deals, more economic cooperation, addressed concerns about Trump's warning, insisted Britain could maintain strong ties with both superpowers. Relationship we have with the United States is one of closest we hold, Starmer told reporters. Enumerated defense, security, intelligence, trade cooperation. referenced Trump's September 2025 visit to Britain that unveiled 150 billion pounds US investment. Proof, Starmer argued, that economic engagement with China didn't threaten American relationship. But Trump's warning suggested otherwise. American Chamber of Commerce in China hosted dinner Thursday evening in Beijing. Chair James Zimmerman urged both Trump and Xi to create vision for greater global stability. Noted potential for leaders meeting 4 times in 2026. Called it moment for sustained leadership and meaningful progress that should not be missed. But Trump's public warnings against allies engaging China suggest a different vision, not global cooperation, American dominance. Historical context made moment even more significant. China, first major economy to retaliate against Trump's April 2025 Liberation Day tariffs. 2 countries reached fragile one-year trade truce in October 2025. Truce held. Barely. Both sides watching. Any ally dealing with China seen as undermining American position. Trump threatened 100% tariffs on Canada after Carney's China deals, now warning Britain. Pattern emerging, message to allies, choose America or face economic consequences. But allies had legitimate concerns relying exclusively on America. Trump's first term showed unpredictability, second term proving worse. Tariffs on friends and enemies alike, demands for territorial control, threats against NATO allies, abandonment of international agreements. Western leaders needed backup plans, insurance against American unreliability. China offered alternative, not better alternative. Chinese system authoritarian. Human rights record terrible. Hong Congress, Uyghurs, Taiwan threats. But Chinese engagement came without political demands. Business was business, for struggling economies like Britain's, pragmatism tempting. Starmer's Labor government promised economic growth. 6 months in office, growth disappointing. Public services strained, living standards stagnant, voters restless. China offered growth opportunities, investment, trade deals, market access, exactly what Britain needed. But Trump demanding Britain choose economic struggle with American blessing over economic opportunity with Chinese partnership. Impossible choice, made worse by timing, Britain negotiating post-Brexit trade relationships. European Union access reduced. American trade deal uncertain. Chinese market suddenly attractive. British business leaders watching carefully. 5 countries sent leaders to Beijing in January: Ireland, South Korea, Canada, Finland, Britain. Combined GDP 8.71 trillion pounds. Less than half China's GDP, less than third of America's. Middle powers caught between giants. Jack Lee, analyst at China Macro Group, explained, these trips are hedging strategy. They keep China Channel open for strategic optionality. Qi Shujun, professor at Renmin University, added, maintaining distance from United States indicates countries value ties with China's large economy. European countries might still align with America on security, but increasing economic engagement with China. Trump's warning attempting to stop hedging. Force allies into exclusive relationship. Accept American leadership without question. But Trump's own unpredictability made exclusive relationship impossible. Allies couldn't trust constancy, needed alternatives. Starmer's China visit represented broader trend. Western leaders diversifying, reducing dependence on single ally, China positioning itself as stabilizing force, contrast with Trump's chaos. Xi offered predictability, long-term partnerships, attractive package for nervous allies, but China's own record complicated. Belt and road debt traps, technology theft. Unfair trade practices. Dealing with China meant accepting risks, betting economic benefits outweighed political costs. Starmer made that bet, others making same calculation. Trump's warning intended to stop this. Remind allies America still mattered, still could impose costs. Threat of tariffs, economic punishment, political isolation. American power used against allies, not just enemies. Question facing every Western leader. Accept American dominance or risk retribution. Starmer continued Shanghai visit despite warning. Met more Chinese officials, signed more agreements, then traveling to Tokyo. Meeting Japanese PM Sanai Takaichi, another American ally navigating same dilemma. Japan, traditionally loyal American partner, but also major Chinese trading partner. Same impossible balance. Starmer's visit to both China and Japan symbolic. Britain trying to maintain relationships across region, engaging everyone. Trump demanding different approach, binary choice, with America or against, no middle ground. This fundamental conflict defining new era. Multipolar world where middle powers want flexibility. American demand for exclusive loyalty. Trump's warning represented attempt, maintaining dominance, using economic threats to enforce compliance, but effectiveness uncertain. Canada ignored threats, Britain continuing engagement, France maintaining ties, middle powers discovering leverage. America needs allies too. Can't punish everyone, especially when facing Chinese competition. Starmer's bet, America eventually accepts reality. Allies will engage China while maintaining American security ties. Trump's bet, economic threats force compliance. Allies fear American punishment more than desire. Chinese opportunity, January 30th, 2026, showed bets colliding. Starmer and Shanghai celebrating deals. Trump in Washington issuing warnings. Xi in Beijing welcoming Western leaders. Three-way competition for global influence, economic versus security, cooperation versus coercion, stakes enormous, future of Western alliance, global economic order, balance of power, Britain caught in middle, small island navigating between giants, seeking prosperity without sacrificing security. Starmer's China visit was test case. Could Western ally engage China despite American opposition? Trump's answer, very dangerous. Question remained whether danger real or bluff, whether Trump would actually punish Britain. Answer would determine future of Western cooperation and whether allies still trusted American leadership.